Welcome to The Fourth Bottom Line, the podcast where we meet people from business, charities and politics who are a force for good. In each episode, I talk to my guests about their inner side and how their internal changes have led to their outer success stories. We talk about the failures, spirituality, and sometimes the painful experiences that have made them the unique individuals they are today. The main aim of this is for us to learn from them and be inspired by them for our own lives. So, if you desire change in yourself and the world around you, do keep listening. And remember, please, to hit the subscribe on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss an episode. Hello, my name is Paul Hargreaves. I'm the founder and Chief Empowerment Officer of Cotswold Fair and Flourish, two businesses that have put people and planet before profit. In 2015, we became one of the first B Corps in the UK, and I've written two books, Forces for Good and The Fourth Bottom Line. I'm absolutely passionate about changing the world for better, and realised many years ago that to do this, we must also change ourselves. The outer impact of people, planet and profit has to be mirrored by an inner change. And that's what I call my fourth bottom line.
But I understand that me coming into that type of environment, what do I know about Jesus? How do I know the difference between, the brie and the parmesan and how they've been produced, and do I know how to articulate how it tastes and all these types of things? I can understand you're not used to me being in your environment, and that's fine. So for some people, like I say, there's some intrigue, like, okay, this is interesting, this is new, this is fresh. How is he going to deal with it? And there's some people who's like, well, what are you doing here? But I quickly realized what ended up happening was I was getting so much credibility outside, and then I'd come back in and I wasn't getting the credibility because a lot of people were coming in and the same thing was happening. Yeah. Until they started going out and going, oh, you work with him? And they're like, oh my gosh. It's like, so then, I had a lot of ex-bosses come back, and after the sort of 6 to 9 month period where they test you again, go, okay, we get it now, we understand.
My guest today is Adrian Boswell. Adrian started his career as a footballer, playing at a high level with time spent at Chelsea, Fulham, Wimbledon and Sutton United before an injury at age 18 forced a change of direction and he became a fishmonger. Since then, he's risen through the ranks and has become a well-known figure within the specialty food sector. He is now a senior buyer at one of the world's most renowned department stores, which is quite a journey from his childhood in South London. Adrian's collaborative approach has won him many friends in the industry. Yet he is not afraid to challenge the status quo where necessary. In fact, one of his colleagues told me he didn't take any prisoners. In recent years, Adrian has found great fulfillment in being a mentor and coach to those looking to forge their purpose and career. Adrian, welcome to The Fourth Bottom Line.
Wow, thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciate that intro.
Well, we'll dig into some of that as we go on. But before we get on to the football, which being a football fan, I'll be interested to talk about without boring the listeners too much. But talk to me about your really early years, your growing up, childhood, etc. I think, was it Tooting you grew up in?
Yeah, born and raised in southwest London, Tooting. In the house, my parents are still there. Youngest of 5 boys coming up. So very fortunate.
Your mum kept trying for a girl, did she?
Do you know? I don't know what I don't really ask that story too much because I don't want it to hurt. No. But youngest of 5 boys. 2 of my brothers actually were foster brothers, but okay. I didn't know that until I was about 14.
Oh wow.
Which was quite interesting. So my mum adopted 2, fostered 2 brothers from a family. So we still see them to this day. But my parents still in Tooting. I was very fortunate in my community with the people I was raised with in terms of family, because I was one of the few who grew up with both parents in the household, both married. I had 2 sets of grandparents that were in close proximity. One was in Wandsworth, one set in Wandsworth, and then another set out in Camberwell, southeast London. So I had a real rich family environment coming up, very supportive, which, you know, when I reflect on it, has definitely shaped how my journey's gone.
Yeah, well, I got that actually from talking to people that know you. I did get the impression that you were from a really close-knit family, which is probably the opposite of me, actually. But it's probably quite unusual, isn't it, these days?
I would say so.
Yeah.
And you know, to the scale and the size of it, and you know, I remember early moments. My grandparents on my mum's side had quite a large house in sort of in Wandsworth Common. And, you know, like the Christmas parties and everyone's around there and the DJ's out and there's loads of food and you got cousins and aunties and extended family. So there was always this connection and, you know, we all sort of grew up. There was, you know, family in Battersea, so, you know, within that South London region, there was...
Did your mum and dad work? Or were you...
Yeah. So my mum is a fantastic woman. She's a unique... and you asked me about quirk. The biggest quirk in my life is my mum. She's very... very spiritual.
She might not be pleased to.
No, she's the first to say that. You know, a lot of the spiritual side comes from my mum, to be fair. She used to work for the GOC, used to work for the architects up in the South Bank, and then she later went on to retrain herself, and then, you know, she ran her own business, so she would train managers, so she would travel up and down the country.
And brought up 5 boys at the same time.
I mean, by the time she'd done that, you know, I was getting into my teenage years, so she'd done most of the hard work. And my dad worked in IT for a number of years for a company before being made redundant, and then just got to chill. And he'd done his hard work, and my mum was running around doing her thing. So yeah.
So what were the, if you can remember, what were the values that were instilled in you from your
respect?
Early years? Yeah,
respect was a big one. Authenticity, for sure. And just, you know, just generally being a good person. You know, my grandma on my dad's side, was heavily into the church, so Pentecostal Christian. So I mean, there was a period in my life where I was in school like 7 days a week. You know, Monday to Friday, state school. Mum sent me to Saturday school, and then on Sunday you'd be at Sunday school. So
that sounds hard work. What was Saturday school about?
Well, Saturday school,
Sunday school.
Yeah, Saturday school was a thing. It was in the black community. I went to one in Peckham. I think it was called Afiwa or Afiwe or something. I can't remember exactly. But I think between the ages of like 4 up until 8, maybe 9, I was in there.
And what was the intention with that?
Largely around community.
Apart from getting you out of the house.
Well, there's that. Bouncing off the walls, but largely around community. In terms of us as a black community in South London, just being able to connect with each other, but then also as well, you get additional help with, you know, spelling, maths, English, whatever it may be. Some needed it, some didn't, but it was just an environment where, from a cultural perspective, you could be understood, which I think has always been a challenge in the education system for a lot of young people in my community. And, you know, the cultural understanding is where a lot of the challenges come from. So yeah. So
Sunday school, I mean, you wouldn't have had a choice on whether you went or not. Did that change when you got to your teenage years? At what point were you able to choose to go rather than being made to go by
when Grandma went back to Jamaica?
That was the turning point.
Yeah, 100%. So that's when I was on parole. Early release for time served.
What age were you then?
I would say, I want to say about 12, 13, just as I was starting secondary school.
Right.
But, you know, I'll put it out there. I mean, all jokes aside, I think, you know, the reason why we're here, you know, one of the reasons we're talking about spirituality and the inner work, like, I think going to church in some shape or form definitely provides a strong foundation for you to follow. As you get older, you start to question whether that is right for you specifically. Yeah. But to have that as a foundation was, you know, again, fantastic.
I agree with that, because some of what I was into when I was younger, there was a spiritual side to it. There's also a load of crap that I wish I hadn't got into. Yeah. But like you said, there's a foundation of something there, which, something bigger than us out there is a good start, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the football, because you must have started playing to get to be that good at 18, you must have started really young, did you?
Yeah, I was.
I guess, did all your brothers play as well?
Do you know, I come from a very, 4 older brothers, all into sports in some shape or form. So it was very competitive. So my oldest brother, he was really good at athletics. And, he ran, he did sprints and long jump, and he did that at junior level for Great Britain. Then the next 2 brothers, they were good in like martial arts. So one of them was supposed to go to the Olympics to represent Great Britain in judo. Injury took him out as well. But yeah, he was fantastic. He ended up sort of teaching at the same school that I ended up going to. And then another, the brother above me, he was into football, but then he sort of, I think he found creativity in the arts and sort of went in that direction. And so, yeah, it was always, going to the park, take your younger brother, whatever. So, I grew up, they're playing football. I'm playing football with, older, 4 years older, 5 years older, 6 years older. Because I'm a little brother.
Get better quicker, doesn't it?
Makes you get bigger, makes you get stronger, makes you get used to the knocks. And yeah, I
so what age were you when you must have had some trials with some of these clubs?
Yeah, I was.
What age was that?
To be honest with you, the golden years, as I'd call them, were probably between 14 and 17. I mean, it all really started with Ian Wright, that match. Sorry, I know you're a Man United fan, but when he came off the bench and scored that goals in the semi-final, there was, I was watching it around the TV.
I went to the replay of that, that FA Cup final,
yeah,
but not the original game, because the FA Cup final used to have replays.
Correct, that's right,
yeah.
There was something, it's very rare to say, I know we're in a digital age, but there was something about watching, when he scored that goal, the passion that came through the TV set after in his celebration. Like, I remember clearly going, I wonder what that feels like. And,
I actually sat next to Ian Wright on a plane
Did
once
you?
back from Tenerife, and he's an absolute, such a lovely guy.
I've heard. I've never met him.
There was a situation on the plane, and there was actually someone kicking off, and he handled it really, really well.
I can imagine.
And I was trying to help out as well, but yeah.
Yeah, just looks like a fantastic guy. I never met him, but you'll never understand sort of, how much of an inspiration he was. So the moment I saw that it was just all about football, I remember, going to sleep with my football and all these types of things. And so, yeah, I managed to get into a local club called Wonder Wanderers, and there was a great Scottish guy there called Sonny, who was a scout for a lot of teams. And, his role was to sort of bring them down and watch us play. And I was fortunate enough that they came and watched me play. I had a few games, as you say, Chelsea, Wimbledon, but most of the time I spent about a year and a half at Fulham. So these are the days when they were Division 3 at the time, but Kevin Keegan was the manager. And yeah, we got up to, I didn't manage to get the YTS, but that was more to do with, I think they call it scholar now, but that was more to do with attitude rather than ability.
We better move on from the football, because there's probably... most of my listeners probably aren't into football.
Probably.
But, anyway, but I guess you thought you were going to be a professional footballer, did you?
That's the only thing I ever wanted to do.
Yeah, but did you believe that? Because
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about the injury. I don't want the gory details, but that must have been, I imagine, when you realised that was going to kill the football. That must have been a huge.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Shock. I mean, were you depressed? And what?
I believe so.
Talk to me about how you were. You must have been absolutely gutted, weren't you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that lead up to that point, and a lot of things that
talk about them. Yeah.
That emotionally, from a young age. Because we were talking about this briefly before, in terms of I think quite a few of your guests, as I've been listening to the podcast, sort of get into midlife chrysalis, as we want to call it now.
Yeah.
But you was referring to one guest who sort of went through it early, and I think that part resonates with me. So there was a lot emotionally happening. So when we was going through school, we had a lot of death in our school. Every year, one of the children in our school died. So from year 7,
really,
yeah. It was the weirdest thing ever. I mean, even to this day, me and my mates, we reflect on it and go, that was actually quite crazy. How did we manage it? So year 7, one friend died from sickle cell. Year 8. One of our friends was playing football in the playground. He kicked the balls over. You know the rules. You kick it over, you go get it. He goes over, he never comes back. He falls for a greenhouse, piece of glass, places his heart, And then there was another guy from the school who was a delivery guy who was subject to a hit and run on a moped. And this is like year after year, and you're thinking, what's going on here? And we don't feel the support was necessarily at that time. So you just kind of get on things and it's numbing. And there was a lot of other situations. So by the time I'd got to that, there was a lot of things we were dealing with. And I think that just sort of became like this as well. Now I haven't got football. And that was, it was a horrible moment for me, because I was in a moment, I was like, well, what am I going to do now? What do I want to do now? There's nothing else I want to do. This is the only thing I want to do. So I would say there was some, I mean, I painted my bedroom black, so take from that what you will.
That's a dark moment.
I painted my bedroom black. Take from that what you will. So, I mean, would I say it was a depressive moment? I would say yes, but I think I was fortunate enough to have the family support, but I was also fortunate enough to have some friends around me, which allowed that dark moment to remain quite light in some aspects.
So who was the most helpful person in helping you see a future beyond football? My mum.
Okay. My mum and my wife. I'd met her.
Oh, so you'd met your wife at quite young?
Very early. Right. And she was with me through the operation. And I mean,
right.
To be honest,
say what the injury was.
Cruciate ligaments. Right, so to this day, I got 2 pins in my knee. And do you know what? It's worth rolling into that story, because it's as you have that, and then I've met my wife, and she fell pregnant. And then as I was recuperating, my son was born 3 months early.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Goodness.
So he was like £2.5.
There was a lot going on then.
Yeah, it was just like this whole sort of period, which is just like, it's just culminating in this. And by the time you get to that, he's £2.5, you have a choice to make. It's, what are you going to do? Like, so I did what my dad did. And, that's the balance I have. My mum is very spiritual, quite free, but my dad, I take the template of how I'm supposed to raise a family from him. So I said, well, what did my dad do? I got to find a job. The only job I could find was as a fishmonger. So.
We'll come on to the fish in a minute, but I just want to just dig into that for 1 minute more, because I think I talked to a couple of people that know you, and I think they both said this, actually. I mean, you've obviously said it to them, but having a child, you were 20, I think, when you...
No, 18, 19.
19? Okay.
18, 19, yeah.
So they said that you've said about that transformed you into a boy from a man.
For sure.
Sorry, wrong way around.
What?
Transformed from a boy to a man.
I know what you meant. I know what you meant.
Yeah. And with that combined with the injury, I mean, suddenly your whole world's changed.
For sure.
I mean, traumatic probably.
Yeah, I mean, and again, so much change and so much to deal with. So, you jump into an environment that you're not used to, with people you're not used to. You're still healing from the fact that you can no longer follow the passion that you had at that moment in time. And then you're dealing with, neonatal units and doctors who were saying he's not going to make it. And, you're coming all the way from work and smelling like fish and going straight into the hospital and looking at this young man just growing in this little incubator. So it was a bit of a whirlwind, but it's one of those moments where you don't really have time to sit down and reflect or think about it. You just act, you just do what you need to do. Do
you ever reflect now how different your life would have been if A, you didn't have the injury, and B, didn't have a son so young?
I reflect on it and say I'm blessed, because I look at my son now, he's like 25 now. I mean, I look at him and I go, do you know what? Yeah, he's a warrior, he made it. And I look at the life that I've built and I say, actually, you know what? I am where I'm supposed to be. As much as I loved football, I don't think I would have enjoyed being a professional football player in terms of what they go through. I mean, there's a lot that you see, you hear about the money and how much they get paid and stuff, but there's a lot behind the scenes that I don't necessarily think would have worked for my particular character type. And I think I've enjoyed the journey so far, and I'm really happy with how my life has turned out. There's more to do, there's more that can be achieved, but to be at the place where I'm at now and be able to look at my family and go, yeah, we did good. Yeah, I don't regret anything, but yeah, I do reflect. But for sure, I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the birth of my first son, for sure.
So let's talk about the fish. How did that happen? I mean, why? Well, fish. Football to fish is quite a story.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, there's a lot of things that were going on, and a lot of things I was doing and shouldn't have been doing and stuff like this, and literally it just became okay. So I need a full-time job, and I was looking around. You don't have the experience. The CV doesn't look great. I didn't have any qualifications. Didn't finish school.
Right.
So it was like, man, what am I going to do? This is getting desperate. So again, my wife's, this is how the universe works. It's funny. My wife's brother caught wind of it. My brother-in-law now, obviously. And he was working in the place where I'd become a fishmonger. And he said, well, there's a job, but I'm not sure if he's going to like it. And I said, look, I need a full-time job. Is it full-time? He was like, yeah. I said, so he says, this is a fishmonger. It's me. Are they going to pay me? Are they going to allow me to feed my family? He said, yeah, so...
Feed them with fish.
Well, 100%. So that's literally how it started. So, I kind of got had the interview, and I started pretty much like 3 days after the interview. With it in boots and all. And
that was it like an apprenticeship then? Or?
No. It was...
full on?
Yeah, it was full on. Straight into it, down Billingsgate Market, it was a great experience in the end.
But you must have had someone training you. And
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We had some good guys training, and it was like being on a football team. I mean, I think the way I just put it is like, yeah, let's just see how we're going to make this work. And it was like being on a football team, different characters with different skill sets. On the weekend, a lot of the part-time staff was from a Muslim background. So again, they supported a lot of knowledge and experience I would gain around Islam and Muslims and do things. So I was learning lots of different things on there, and it's a great skill to have. The only thing that wasn't so great is the smell. It's very unsociable. But
I thought fresh fish didn't smell though.
They lied, my friend. Whoever told you that?
I heard it once. So, I mean, we can't say where you work, but you've basically stayed at the same company ever since. So, was that the plan from the start, or did you? When did you? I mean, you're well known in the food sector now, and obviously feel a sense of purpose within food. When did that start to emerge?
And that started about, I would say, 10 years in. So obviously, yeah, it's been a long journey, and the job role changed every sort of 3 to 4 years. So really what happened with the fish counter is they was going to change that to a concession. When you started, they made you do like this MVQ. So I was doing that MVQ. I was 11 months in, and it was like, actually, this is going to become a concession. So I was like, cool. Then it was like, well, you won't be able to finish your MVQ because you're not part of the company. And I was like, are you serious? I'm 11 months in. And obviously I haven't had anything. So I was just like, look, you need to find me a job so I can finish it. So I wasn't thinking about anything else in terms of, as I said, no qualifications. This would mean something to me to have some form of qualification. So they found me a job. It was in the retail. After about 2 or 3 years overnight, it was retail admin, but then all office jobs became head office overnight, just part of a change. So now I'm just part of head office just randomly. It's just crazy. And then my job actually then morphed into the merchandising side of things. So I did all the chains and all the roles in logistics. And then I had a great leader at the time who asked me. He said, you might be good at buying. What do you think? And I was like, you still going to pay me at the end of the month? Like, it's cool, let's do it. So I jumped into that. And then really what happened was, as the culture started to change and managers started to leave, that cultural piece that you hear a lot about in a corporate or professional environment started to kick in. And I found it easier to do my job externally. So I do a lot more supplier visits. I do a lot more, visiting producers and doing meetings off-site and doing tastings there. And then, I'll be honest with you, it was really started from John and Torty Fire and Guild of Fine Food when they invited me to come and do some great taste judging. And then I got in the scene, and then I went up to Gillingham, Dorset for the first time. And then I just, meet in the food community, and they were just great to me. So I just started, it just became a way for me to get by and enjoy the job and just connect with people, because, the food community is a passionate bunch. And I found them to be real people.
But the food community, particularly then, probably less so now, was very white. Male, not male so much, but very white dominated.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And that was interesting. But I think there were some who were like, who is this guy? What does he know? Which is fair. It's cool. I get it. But there were some who you could sense there was an intrigue. It's like, hey, this is new. This is fresh. Let's see what's going on. And I think there's a lot of people I have to thank on the journey who sort of embraced me and taught me a lot of things. Because remember, I ain't coming to this as a foodie.
No.
So I had to figure out a way to make it work. And my way to make it work was to do what comes naturally to me. I feel like I can connect with people and have a conversation and find some common ground very easy. So that was really where it started. So, you had the guys at Neil's Yard, Jason Hines. I mean, there's a fantastic moment. We went to taste.
I love Jason. Yeah.
Jason, Billy Kevin, and my boss at the time, a guy called Andrew Kavanagh. They took me up to taste the Stiltons for Christmas to pick the batches. And I'm standing there in the back like, oh my gosh, this is mold. Because culturally, it's like blue cheese and mold. We're like, why would you intentionally put mold in some food? So we're sitting there cracking up. And I'm asking these questions. I'm like, so you intentionally pierce holes to create mold? And they're just cracking up and they're laughing. And then I said this to before Jason retired. I said there was a shift in that moment where I thought, okay, this is... I like this community, particularly the cheese community, because after laughing and jokes, it turned into they started to school me and teach me about. So this is why we did it. Here's the history behind it, and then these are the sort of things you should be tasting. This is how it should taste, and come and taste this. This is a bad one, and it they could have easily just turned around and said, "He doesn't know what he's talking about. We'll get on with it and just go." But they didn't. They brought me into the conversation, and that was a huge turning point as well. So that was fantastic. So I would say the cheese community embraced me very, very strongly.
Did you ever get any discrimination from any
loads
parts? Yeah?
Yeah, loads. I mean,
how did you deal with that?
At first it was frustrating, and it was very interesting. I remember going to one of the trade shows, and my boss would always say, "Aid, never wear your badge." That's why I don't wear the badge to this day, but it doesn't make a difference anymore. But you say, "Aid, never wear your badge," and I wouldn't wear the badge. And I'd walk around, and I'd be waiting at stands, and I'd be looking at something very interesting, and no one's giving you the time of day. And so I said, okay, cool. I said, that's really weird. I wore my badge the next time I went. And now everybody wants, and I said, oh, I understand what's happening here now. I get it. Which is cool. It was fine. So now I found
it's difficult to confront that, isn't it? Because you're kind of representing the company at that point. So
well, yeah, 100%.
To challenge them.
Exactly. But then
yeah.
I just found a way to have fun with it, which was, I'd start to just talk to people, and then when they start to understand, oh, he knows what he's talking about, then they go like, sort of, who are you? Where are you from? And they'd want to know more on these types of things. But by that time, I'd also figured out that a lot of the way I want to do this role is it's not just about the product or the brand or whatever. It's the people behind it. And if the people behind it are not something who I feel, or not somebody, or has an energy that I feel will work well, not just with me, but within the company that I represent, then it doesn't even matter. So in the end, it didn't really matter. I kind of half expected it, but to be honest with you, it wasn't many people at all. The vast majority embraced me.
You're talking past tense. Does that mean
what's that?
It's not there anymore? Or
it's always there, but it's different now. It's different now. I think a lot of it was to do with. Look, I understand that me coming into that type of environment. What do I know about cheeses? How do I know the difference between the brie and the parmesan and how they've been produced, and do I know how to articulate how it tastes and all these types of things? I can understand you're not used to me being in your environment, and that's fine. So for some people, like I say, there's some intrigue, like, okay, this is interesting, this is new, this is fresh. How is he going to deal with it? And there's some people it's like, well, what are you doing here? And I think it's similar in most cultures. If something different happens in a certain way that you're not used to, you question it. But I think over time, and the company I worked for, that I represent, obviously helped. No, for sure.
Yeah.
But I quickly realized what ended up happening was I was getting so much credibility outside, and then I'd come back in and I wasn't getting the credibility because a lot of people were coming in and the same thing was happening.
Yeah.
Until they started going out and going, oh, you work with him? And they're like, oh my gosh. It's like, so then, I had a lot of ex-bosses come back, and after the sort of, 6 to 9 month period where they test you again, go, okay, we get it now. We understand. So it helped me get on internally. So that was cool.
So I want to talk, as you know, this podcast is about the inner side of people. So let's get onto that. And I was particularly, you've mentioned the word connection a few times, actually. Yeah. And I think that's something that very much came out of the people I talked to as part of my preparation for this conversation. The collaboration. You're not seeing the suppliers, food producers you work with as a transactional relationship. You're seeing it as a very much collaboration, connection, and the people actually behind the products you're selling. So how much of that is formed by your spirituality?
It stems from my mum. I spent a lot of time with my mum. As I say, my mum, when she retrained, she was a coach mentor, but she would train managers on how to work with a team. To be honest with you, quite groundbreaking, because a lot of the stuff is happening now in terms of a lot of the stuff that's in your book around leadership and how you display some of these different characteristics. So it's quite fascinating, actually, because I do recall, she's working from home and she'd give me little odd jobs, like I'd be a secretary and I'll answer the phone and these types of things. So it stems from that. And I, even in the way that she raised me with my dad, but a lot of it was with my mum, she raised me with a coaching style, which was very much, if something goes wrong, we're sitting down and having a conversation about it. There wasn't much shouting. It was trying to get to understand. And that had a huge influence on me, because I always try to understand. I always try to understand where this person's coming from, what their motivation is, why they think it will be a right fit. How do they deal with challenges and all these types of things coming up? Because I think it's very important. And I remember, and I say this now to my team, one of the best leaders I had, not manager, leader, would always say to me, look, we're here to buy and sell food, but you're in the business of people. And that always stuck with me.
That's a wise comment, isn't it?
And I said, I can work with that.
Yeah.
I can work with that. And I think buyers have a reputation, don't they, as being hard-nosed sods, generally. I mean, that is not always true, obviously. Present case, obviously not. But when you see, I don't know if you maybe sometimes in your team or colleagues are becoming like that. I mean, it might not happen where you were, but it certainly happens in some situations. When it all gets so transactional, it's ridiculous and almost silly sometimes, because if you generally want to get the best deal, you would connect with the people, wouldn't you? For sure.
getting too transactional doesn't actually achieve what you want. No. So how do you teach or inspire other people to maybe people who find it less easy than you to connect with others? How do you?
Big fan of coaching.
How do you teach them to get
coaching? I'm a big fan of coaching.
Yeah,
and I mean coaching in itself is a weird industry at this point. But there's one side of coaching which is less around telling someone what to do and giving them all the answers. I lean on the side where it's about empowering people to find the answers for themselves. And the moment you can get someone to think about the impacts of, okay, well, if you do plan A, let's go for it. What's the impact of this? How do we approach this one? What if we approach it with this mindset? And what would happen if we actually did it this way and that way? And now they're starting to think about it. So again, I feel like in my experience, what I've seen is, a lot of the time, and again, as a person, I don't like being told what to do. So I try not to tell other people what to do. But trying to get people to find those answers themselves through questioning and just giving them the time. You have to take the time to sit through them, to sit with them, and to make them, again, come back to understanding. understanding the impact that might have, and understanding it not just from a short-term perspective, but a long-term perspective. Because I think, going back to the point you're making around the whole transactional thing, if it's something you need to get done very quickly, it feels like that's the mindset that a lot of people wear. I need to get this done. I've got a target to hit, bang, 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 bang. Whereas I was always wrong, but let's build this relationship, and it might start slow, but by the time we figure it out and we get there, then we're going to start flying. And so that's largely my approach when I see that happening.
So how is in other ways, how is your spirituality? Because one of your colleagues, so you obviously talk about this at work, actually, one of your colleagues told me that you meditate every morning. Tell me why you're doing that, how it helps you, not just in your life. How does it specifically help you in your job?
So I'm an introvert. And
really?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, for sure. Big introvert. No, I know. No, big introvert for sure. And the nature of the role that we do, or you're on the circuit, you're talking to people. It's like, so I know, I'm quite self-aware, so I know I absorb a lot of energy on a daily basis. I have to have at least an hour to myself every day to recharge my battery.
Okay.
I have to, as it would, fill your cup before you let others sip from it and all that good stuff. So what I try to do when I'm at my best, so these, coaching myself, what does it look like when I'm at my best? Yeah. When I'm at my best, I'm up early before everybody else. It's dark, it's peaceful. I get just me, my thoughts. I like to clean.
Really?
I'll clean the kitchen. Like every morning I'll get up.
Is this part of your meditation, the cleaning? The cleaning meditation.
Well, it's not. Well, that's not meditation, but it's something as a process. It's part of the waking up process.
You can do it mindfully, can't you?
No, I do. No, don't get me wrong. I get to that, but a big part of the problem, get up and I'll clean out the kitchen and just make sure that's it. There's something about the kitchen. I don't know why, but there's something about cleaning that I find quite peaceful. But again, it's quiet, it's dark, and then I'll meditate. After I meditate. With just my thoughts, then I'll work out, wake up the body, get moving, and I have to have that time to myself. If I don't have that time to myself, then the rest of the day is going to be a challenge.
So talking to other people that might be like you, introvert, need that time. If they never meditated before, I mean, it's a word that sometimes puts people off because people think it's slightly weird or spooky sometimes, but how would you encourage them to start? What would you, if I came to you and said, look, I want to do a bit of meditation, what shall I do?
Well, I think a lot of people, I would say, the first question is, have you tried it? And how did you try it? What did that look like? Because I think there's a perception. I think sometimes you can hear the word meditation and there's a perception of it. I have to sit like this, or I have to do this, or I have to be here, or it's, what does it look like for you? Where is your space? What is a space that makes you feel at peace, where you can just let your thoughts flow and you can be at ease and relaxed, wherever that might be? And I think that's different places and different things for different people. And the first thing I would say is, question yourself on that, and then start and do it quickly. Do a deep breathing in a quiet space for 60 seconds. See how that feels. Then move it up to 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, and then just build slowly. Rather than just jump in. It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym, you do a 45-minute workout you've never been before, you're on the sore, and you're like, you know what, I'm not going back, I'm not doing it again.
2 weeks,
get to a point where it's like, do what you enjoy, do it to a level where you feel energized, or you feel like, actually, that was quite manageable, and build on that, is what I would say.
And do you sometimes find, there are some days that are worse than others? Do you find you sometimes have to take yourself off during the working day and find a quiet space?
Absolutely.
How easy is that in a busy retail environment?
It's not very easy. It's not very easy at all. No. It's very challenging, but I come from a place where the most important thing is to be aware of how you're feeling and how you're thinking, and just ensuring that you're aligning your choices and your intentions. And I'm very good at being able to, as I say, bite my tongue and stop for a second. Silence is something that I have no problem being silent for a second. So usually, if something's frustrating me, I'll go quiet, and as soon as I get the opportunity to go for a walk, I'm gone. Yeah, and I like to walk. I like to walk it out.
I want to talk about emotions, because you seem I mean, I don't know you that well, but you seem to be emotionally together more than many men that I meet. And someone actually, one of your friends, said you were, from a young age, you were kind of quietly confident.
Yeah.
That there's a kind of calmness about you that some people might maybe misinterpret that you're putting some distance sometimes. So,
Oh, for sure.
Do you get emotional?
Yeah.
And at work as well, or just at home? No,
not at work. No.
No?
I mean, well, do you get emotional at work? Yes, I think. Okay, so what I would say is culturally, I come from. Culturally, my community are expressive people. So, in our private environment, and I learned this very early on, and you'll hear these stories from a lot of people who'll be able to resonate, is me and you could just be from the same community having this conversation, and you'll say something I don't like, and then my face will turn and say, I don't like that. Don't say nothing like, don't do this. But you do that in a professional environment and you get labeled aggressive and all these types of things. So the biggest challenge I had was understanding that I had to articulate my emotion rather than show it in the professional environment.
Okay, yeah.
But in terms of being emotional, like that's who we are. So if we're happy, you know it. If you're angry, we know it. If we're sad, we know it. So my mum's always encouraged me to express my emotions and talk about my feelings and get it out. And again, very blessed and fortunate to have the environment and the structure around me to allow me to do so. So
it was okay growing up, it was okay for men to cry, was it?
Well, in my culture and community, no, I mean, that's just that's just the perception of that whole men thing, men don't cry type thing. But of course men cry.
Yeah. Well, they don't, some men don't.
Oh, well, they should. I mean,
I didn't cry for 20 years.
What, not even like a passing or anything like this? Like someone would pass away? And
I think it was probably 20 years when no one close to me did.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
But basically, my dad told me off for crying when I was a kid. I don't know how old I was. Yeah. And that put the dam up for probably more than 20 years, actually. I
mean, I know I used to, when I was younger coming up, it's funny you talking about emotion. The one thing I've always had when I did have a bad temper. So when I'd get so angry, I wouldn't know how else to release it, and the tears would just flow. But as you get older, I mean, things like death, friends passing, going through school, tears were shed for sure.
Yeah, I mean now, I'm like a waterfall. But
I mean, if you need to cry. I mean, I think what they say is one of the greatest releases out there.
Yeah. But a lot of men are like I was, blocked up.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to. I guess a lot of it is that perception that's out there that men shouldn't cry and strong men don't cry and these types of things. But I think it takes a lot of strength to be able to understand your emotions and express them in whichever way is suitable for you, I think. I think emotionally, again, leaning back to, I mean, I'd still play, not at a great level, but still playing. That's a great what other outlet do you have to express your emotions? It's great you write books and you clearly think about a lot and, you've reflected a lot on your life and some of the journey you've had. But what outlet do you have in your everyday life that allows you to do those things? Playing football is one for me. And as I say, meditating, getting up early, having those moments for me, understanding them, writing them out, getting them out onto the paper, bringing them into the physical form, I think is very helpful.
Yeah,
and then actually reading them. Because that's the one thing I was good at writing them out, and then I'd leave the book there and I wouldn't read them. And one day I just picked it up and went through and just said, "This is quite fascinating."
Although sometimes the writing can help the self-awareness process, can't it? Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so I probably need to do a bit more, but I do journal from time to time, but I rarely read them actually. But it's the process of getting them out helps me work out what's going on.
For sure. No, for sure. But and they say that if you write it out physically, you tend to remember more. But I'm trying to get into the habit of going back and reading over what I've written and trying to understand it. And
oh my God, I dread to think what I'd read from 10 years ago. But
man, you should do it, man. You'll be surprised.
So we've touched on this earlier. So I think many of the things people go through in their kind of midlife chrysalis, as we're now calling it, happened to you when you were much younger. Have you had another kind of transformational period of your life in more recent years, or not?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was then. Well, I know what I was passionate about, what I wanted to do, but what am I supposed to do? What am I here to do? And I think that was the one piece that took me quite a while to connect with. And it was funny because I'd been doing it all along. It was just more about now figuring out, well, how are you going to do that? And it's always come from a place of people. And it, you know, my mum always said something is, my mum will always just say, you know, well, what are you good at, and what comes so naturally and what so easy to you, and why don't you lean into that? And I think for a long time, I think my perception of how I connect and how I support people, there was a period of it was very draining. So I think I got to a period where I was on the circuit too much.
Right.
And I had to stop.
The circuit doing what?
Like out there doing the talks and the judgings and the panels, and it just got to a point where it's like, well, I'm absorbing too much, I'm traveling too much, I'm not spending as much time with my family, and it was like...
I'm presumably not really getting paid for that either, were you?
Oh, no, I don't...
were you? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Some, not all.
Yeah.
Some, not all. Which, again, you know... But, you know, it always got to a point where I feel like, you know, needed to build a reputation before you could turn around to someone and go, hold on, which was cool. So I had to stop, and then I had to figure out, well, what am I doing here? And I think that almost gave me a perception, because it became so draining, almost gave me this perception of like, I don't want to do that, and it's not good, but obviously I just needed to understand, this is actually what I'm good at, how can I find a way to enjoy it? And that's the journey I've been on for like the past sort of 12 to 18 months.
So this is you coaching other people as well?
Well, I've only again recently found that I'm qualified in an unregulated market. That's crazy. That's funny. But I mean, look, I learned so much when I was doing that course. It was fantastic. I found a new love for psychology. My self-awareness is through the roof, and it's a skill that I've been using to support the younger generation, getting them to think for themselves in a moment where actually it's easy just to let technology do all the thinking for you. I think is
what do you think the younger generation are most lacking at the moment?
Oh, that's a very good question. Support and access, and just feeling like people care. I mean, I remember I was, you know, when we was growing up, regardless of family or whatever, you know, we had youth clubs where you could go and try a variety of different things. You could try different sports, you could try different activities, you could try a music instrument, you can meet people. What do they have? You know, everything costs money. It's like, if you don't have X to be able to provide the access for your children, it's very difficult for them. And, you know, how do these children then find out what it is that they want to do or what they enjoy doing if they haven't had the opportunity to experience it? So there's a lot of that. So I think they're lacking a lot of that, and they're lacking someone who believes in them, whatever it may be, because there seems to be this train of thought where you have to be a certain way, act a certain way, talk a certain way, but it's okay to be you. You know, it's okay to be you, and I think that's definitely something I'm very passionate about in terms of supporting the young generation, because I had coaching interventions when I was very young. But like, as we said, I mean, the education system had a disagreement. We had a difference of opinion. And but I was, again, my mum's fantastic. Got a lady, I had loads of coaching and these types of things. So I know, and then I've got a coach now. Well, I had a coach when I first started with the company I worked for. To this day, she still coaches me. And I know the power of it. I wouldn't be sitting here. I don't think I would have been able to achieve that without having that support. So being able to tap into that and actually find some enjoyment in it is, it's great. Yeah,
I mean, it's okay to admit that you need help, isn't it?
For sure.
Well, I think quite often, I mean, I have a coach now, but for most of my working life, I didn't. I wish I had, but it wasn't really a thing 20 years ago, was it?
20 years. Well, yeah. But again, I wouldn't have said it was in my world. Again, it was my mum and playing in these circles who provide these access. But then when you think about it, for me, it was, when you said a coach, again, I just think it back to football. I said, well, all sports people have a coach. If they want to be at their best, they have a coach.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, so, no.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what I hear of the way you run your team, you're doing that as a coach as well. You're not doing it as a manager or a leader. It's a coaching.
That's my go-to.
Yeah.
You can never do it 100%. It never works out that way, and you know that. But that's my preference.
Talk to me, because we touched on it in the introduction. This thing about you challenging the status quo and not taking any prisoners. Because sometimes the nurturing thing doesn't work, and you've got to take other action. So, have you got any examples of that?
There's always examples. I mean, there's examples of when you know, at some time, the coaching is great, but there's moments where you have to be decisive. And I'm not shy to be decisive if I feel strongly about something. Or if I feel, actually, do you know what? This coaching approach just isn't working in this certain scenario. And a lot of the time, it's when you've got deadlines to hit, when something needs, again, going back to that transactional, when sometimes you have to slip into that transactional mode. So it doesn't matter whatever it may be. Sometimes I find saying no quite easy, I think. But it's very rare that I feel that passionate about something. But I think that comment probably comes out because it doesn't happen often. Right. But when it does happen, it's more of a surprise and oh, I didn't realize that was in there. So it's there.
Yeah.
When it needs to be, it just doesn't need to be all the time. Yeah.
And actually, the most loving thing to do is that sometimes. Yeah. I think, we try and have a culture where, there's a lot of love and acceptance, and sometimes the temptation is to think, well, you can't discipline anyone because that is the best thing to do for the company and for everyone else there. If someone's out of order, it needs confronting, doesn't it?
I mean, that's out of order and disrespect is a no-go. I mean, like I'm quite tolerant to that, but disrespect, no, just no. Doesn't matter who, where, what, just no.
And how do you do that if someone's exhibiting that kind of behaviour? How do you do it in the busy workplace?
I always one-on-one. I mean, again, that's a level of respect. Never, if there's a difficult conversation to have, happy to have them, but I will have them one-to-one, and you will know exactly how I feel. And I'll try and keep. There's no shouting. It's this conversation. I mean, you could have this conversation. I say, Paul, I don't like that question. Take it off the podcast. And it would literally be like, please don't. Just don't, because I don't want. So it's. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. I just think sometimes the way it's interpreted can rub people the wrong way because maybe they're not used to being spoken to in that way, or they have a perception that you are not that type of person. So why have you changed, or what are you doing? It's like no. So
has more impact, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
How have you changed in the last 5 or 10 years? Would you say
more organised? Yeah, for sure. More organised. More. I used to. Sort of just, I was too much go with the flow, which was cool. It got me to a point.
Yeah.
But then there's a point where you have to, all right, as we was discussing earlier, stop, take the time to prepare, reflect on it, think on it, make sure you're ready. Timing. It's like, it's always, not always, but there's, I had a bit of a rep for turning up late to meetings and stuff like that.
Well, I will say, Adrian is the first person to be here early for one of these podcasts.
To be early is to be on time. This is one. It's a jewel I picked up along the way. So definitely more organised, and definitely more. I would say definitely more empathetic for sure over the journey. I was again introvert, so I'm very in tune with myself, very self-aware. But then in a busy work environment, taking myself out of that to understand the wider picture and the culture and how other people may be feeling and how your actions can have an impact on other people has definitely grown.
And the next 5 years, what do you think you'll be doing?
Good question.
In 5 years' time?
Definitely something people focused for sure. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm in an hour because
still in food, do you think, or?
I'm happy in food right about now. The moment I'm in, there's some exciting things happening, and like you said, been with the same company for a certain amount, but every so often, just as you start to get twitchy or bored, something new happens, something changes, another challenge. So I've always been able to learn, develop, and grow, and that's very important to me in an environment that's allowed me to be myself. In the end, I had to work hard for that, but in the end. So next 5 years, I mean, I'm definitely going to continue supporting the younger generation. Doing a lot of work with schools and CICs and these sorts of things at the minute. For me personally, I don't know if although I'm inspired by all of the founders and business owners that I come into contact with, yourself included, I'm not sure if that's something that resonates for me. Sometimes I feel like, I should do my own thing, and there's another moments I'm like, I don't know if that's in me. I don't know if I'm willing to suffer that much for this yet. No, yet. I guess, like I said, I'm still figuring it out, and I found something enjoying. And I don't want to kill the enjoyment yet. I want to still have that enjoyment of it, still be able to support some people, and then let it build slow. Look, my vibe is, nothing comes before its time. So, you take it, you enjoy it moment, take it one step at a time, day by day.
Yeah. So. I don't know whether would I do it again.
Yeah, would you do it again?
I think I would do it a lot better the second time round. So I think the businesses are much more likely to succeed, much less likely to fail when people have got experience behind them.
For sure. And I feel like but I feel like I'm in this, like I said to you, I feel like in a space where it's great to enjoy something, but my view has always been, unless I'm willing to suffer for it on a higher level, that for me, there's that whole part, love is pain and loads of suffering and growth and all that sort of stuff. But it's like, when it's really dark in those moments and it's really, really hard, do I love it that much to keep going through?
Yeah.
And I know I enjoy it and I know I love it.
Yeah.
I'm just figuring out on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I love it?
Yeah.
Which will then dictate,
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's a lot easier to do when you haven't got young kids at home.
Well, that's the other thing as well. And that's what I'm starting to
My kids, they would say this themselves, I'm sure. They've missed out on me to some extent because I was also starting a business when they were very young. So, there is so much more time in the day now. Goodness me, it's unbelievable.
100%.
Yeah, so there's big pluses.
Oh, there's loads of pluses. Look, my oldest is 25. My youngest just turned 18 last week, couple of weeks ago. So it's like now the timing is there, and I think in a funny way, things are just starting to fall into place the way they need to. Yeah. And as I say, I am where I'm meant to be.
I'd love to carry on with that, but we're running out of time, so I need to come on to the questions I ask all my guests.
Yeah.
The first one is, one piece of advice you'd wish you had at the beginning that you kind of know now but didn't have at the time.
Never stop doing what you enjoy. Never stop doing what you enjoy, because I stopped playing football just completely.
Right.
I don't play at a great level now, but I can manage around, put the knee brace on. Keep doing it. It's not about making it all the time. It's just about having some fun. So never stop doing what you enjoy, what brings you joy.
And the second bit, one piece of well-meaning advice that you had that you've chosen to ignore.
That I've chosen to ignore.
Mine was don't start a business, by the way, but I ignored it.
I would say talk less, listen more.
That's a good one.
That's what I would say. Yeah. And I've learned that now, but I think there was a period where had I learned that earlier, I wouldn't have got so much.
So you ignored it earlier, did you?
I ignored quite a lot earlier. But that's the one that I would say that I ignored earlier. But I think now I've learned it, the power of listening more. Again, coming back to that understanding piece before you respond. Listen to understand, not to respond, and all that good stuff.
And the book, The Fourth Bottom Line, is 50 characteristics of good leadership, and probably difficult to choose one, which you mentioned before. But which of the 50 most resonates with you?
Non-judgmental.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't think how do we judge? We just try, again, I know I've said it a lot, but trying to understand the situation before we come to an agreement or a decision or whatever needs to happen. And I think also as well, when you've been raised in a culture and environment I have, having to be judged on so many different levels, understanding what that feels like, again, just I wouldn't want anybody else to feel that way. Everybody's got their own story, their own battles, their own challenges. So who am I to judge,
Yeah. We've run out of time, so thanks, Adrian, so much for joining me. It's really appreciate it. I know you're massively busy, particularly this time of year. We're recording this just before Christmas, so it's busiest time of year for a food retailer. So thanks for sparing the time.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'm enjoyed the book, and I'm enjoying the podcast so far. So enjoy your festive season, sir.
Thank you.
No worries.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of The Fourth Bottom Line. Please hit subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode, and do leave a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to learn more about my work, follow me on LinkedIn, visit my website, paulhargreaves.co.uk, or look out for my 2 books, Forces for Good and The Fourth Bottom Line. Thanks so much for listening.